Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I have a very exciting new chapter that I'm opening here. I decided I wanted to start a book club. By the way, I have a special guest here, Cutie Pie Baby, off screen. And so, as life goes on with a baby, you just have to go with the flow, roll with the punches. I have a special guest with me here, my mom. Yay!
Hello.
AKA Auntie Mina. And so my book club was because I really wanted to be able to learn a lot of new things about a topic that I feel like is really important. I just reached year one of marriage, but as a newlywed, I still claim being a newlywed. As a newlywed, there's so many things about marriage that I still don't know. And I thought rather than me finding it out by accident, let me go ask an expert, someone who's been in this game for what, 40 plus years, right? So,
Yes.
so my mom and my dad wrote this great book called Abiding Love. And I have this book with me. It is amazing. I have the book and the workbook. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But um, I want to ask her why she and my dad wrote this book. So, Mom, could you tell us why did you write this book? Tell us a little bit about what's in the pages.
Yes, I'll be glad to. Hello, everyone. My name is Mena Komonibo, aka Auntie Mena. I like to add the Auntie Mena part always. So, my husband and I our marriage turned 40 years. We were married January 23rd, 1982. So, when we turned 40, we were just reminiscing about our lives together and kind of just so grateful that after 40 years, we were still very much in love and still best friends. And on retrospect, we realized that we had been through so much, and yet we are together, still happy with each other. And then we kind of felt that, look, we needed to share with the world how we came about being this happy with each other. And we had been counseling some couples on the side with our experiences. We're not professional counselors, but just telling people how we went through things. And by God's grace, some families have mended their marriages through our testimony. So we just decided to put it in writing so a wider group of people will have access to our story. So
Yeah,
that came the book Abiding Love. But
yeah.
we have more than 40 lessons, but we thought 40 years and 40 lessons, out of the many lessons we learned, we can get 40 to share with the world.
Yeah, like my mom said, I, as a child, grew up with countless couples coming in and out of our doors. And I would always see them leave the conversations feeling heard, feeling like they were directed back to one another with more love, but also devotion to God. And so it was always really interesting to me as their daughter. I couldn't get counseling from them in the same way because they're a little biased in my direction, right? But they were pretty impartial. I would see them sit down with husband and wife, and they would talk about all sorts of topics and things that, you feel like sometimes in your marriage, you can't talk to other people about. I know they were talking about those topics and they are featured in this book. Excuse me, baby. I started reading and highlighting it. And so, like I said, this book club is meant to really enrich your marriage, right? Let me read you the intro alone is already speaking to me. So they said that they wrote this book, they realized that there was a need for authentic, openly honest discussions and disclosures regarding marriage, and they're wanting us to learn, as the readers, they said in the intro, what we wish we would have known when we started as an engaged couple and then as a married couple. Here's the line that I love that they said: experience, they say, is the best teacher, but that does not mean you have to have those experiences yourself before you can learn them. We
Exactly.
invite you to learn from our 40 years of experience. Y'all, I think it's really great when someone lets you hop on their back and go further because you get a head start because of their own experience, right?
Yeah.
So with that, we don't have to go through some of these lessons without a guide. We have this book, we have the Lord Jesus Christ, but we also have living examples of people who have gone through it all and are showing us what they've learned, right? And so I remember hearing before I got married, people saying marriage is work. And they kind of said it in this way that like it's not a bed of roses. Like no one says it is, but if you're not married, sometimes you wonder what is the work that they're talking about, right?
Yeah.
And the work can seem so mysteriously intimidating, but this book starts to talk about the work. And there are 13 chapters in it, and each of the chapters have different lessons that you can learn, the work that you have to do, right? And so let me pull out one of the other documents, one of the other books that are available. So we have the main book, but along with it is also the workbook. It is very likely that maybe your husband might not want to join you for this book club podcast, but he might actually be interested in going through the questions with you in this workbook.
Okay.
And I love the workbook because, sometimes as a wife, you're like, babe, if you had to choose between blank, blank, blank and me, what would you choose? Or babe, if I were a frog, would you still love me? Stuff like that, that is like not really an important question to ask. Instead, you can ask thought-provoking questions that will get you and your spouse talking, right? So I really love that. I want to ask Auntie Mina. Auntie Mina, is there a chapter in this book that you're excited to talk about or a topic?
Oh, I thought, oh, I can talk about all 40 lessons, but the lesson that is close to my heart is the part about guardrails, establishing guardrails. And the reason I love that chapter is because, we're all Christians, right? And then we kind of enter the fellowship with our marriages, our partners, with open mind, without thinking of anything possibly happening. But like the Bible says, little foxes, things come in, and before we know it, things are gone bad. So I like that guardrail part. I need to establish those guardrails, like the guardrails on the road. If you are getting off the road, the highway, the sound, it makes a sound that alerts you, hey, I'm going off the road the right way. So in marriage, when we establish those guardrails, it warns us that, hey, we're maybe getting a little too close to what could harm ruin our marriages. So that's one of my dearest. I enjoyed writing that part because I experienced it. And I have examples in there how we guarded against we put on those guardrails to help us stay in the right path.
I love that. Yeah, I even as your child, I was a direct recipient of what happens when you put strong guardrails in your marriage. It really protects your family in a way that, as a child, you get to see, oh, my parents really cared about our well-being. They cared for one another. I love that. For me, I'm looking at the book here. I've already starred them because I'm super excited when we get to those parts of the chapters. I am excited for the chapter on trust. That's chapter 3.
Okay.
And some of the lessons there are honor your commitment, embrace vulnerability. But my favorite lesson, choose friends wisely.
Oh,
Because I'll tell you all this. To this day, my parents are friends with people that they were friends with in college. Like I'm talking 30 plus years of friendship.
yes.
And me and the children of those friends, they're my cousins basically, right? And so we're always like, how do you even do that? How do you maintain friendships over oceans, over decades?
Yes.
And so I think, oh, I almost got emotional. When you want to maintain your marriage and have those guardrails, a lot of it is the company that you keep.
Mhm.
right? Having good company, having good friends that can help encourage you in your marriage and in your life and speak life into your relationship. So I'm
Mhm.
excited for that. The second chapter, maybe I'm maybe I'm childish, but the other chapter that I am very excited about is chapter 4, Love as a Daily Choice. There is a lesson on intimacy, intimate I
Okay.
see,
Yeah.
and we're talking Christian marriages, right?
Yes.
We rarely talk about sex and intimacy.
Mhm.
Many times we shy away from having like those real conversations. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, Auntie Mina and Uncle Ebby were not trying to have a sex talk. So we didn't have a full-blown sex talk. But when I got married and I started to talk to other married women, we realized that there's this balance, right? There is this kind of need to keep things private because you don't want to expose too many things. You don't want to like be out here in the streets, but you also need to ask questions and talk about what does intimacy look like, not just physical, sexual intimacy, but
Mm.
other things that will promote that close bond, right? And so, I will pause to say I'm really excited about this book club podcast because Auntie Mina and I will be your main hosts, but there's certain topics that we're like, oh, we got to bring so and so in. And so we will have guests on this podcast. I already am excited because our intimacy podcast guests are authors of romance novels. They
Yeah.
write Christian romance novels. So they're going to be talking about what does sex look like for
Mm.
Christian couples or even engaged or dating couples as you're waiting and abstaining,
Mm.
right? And so we also have some of my parents' friends that will come and talk about their marriages and their friendships. So I love that this is all going to be a conversation about what it actually takes to build a godly marriage. So let's talk about logistics, about how this book club will actually work. You see, we're here online and we are just wanting to connect and wanting to build community. That was really Auntie Mina and Uncle Ebi's goal in writing this book, right? Um, Auntie Mina, can you talk about community and what you're hoping to get out of your book and this book club?
Well, that we know that the trick of the enemy is to isolate us. We talked about isolation in our book. And when you're isolated as a couple, so many you begin to think that all you're experiencing is unique. Oh,
Yeah.
why am I going through this and all of that? But when you have a community, first of all, the community helps you see that you're not alone, and also that what you're going through is usual, it's normal for couples, and then together you can find solutions. I
Mhm.
know it's like iron sharpening iron. That's what we tried. We benefited from community. Like Timmy said, we've had friends for over 40 years friendship, and those are our community. And I can't think of doing of life, without those community friends. They have added to us for us to be here today. Each and every one of them had a part to play in our being together and being in a community. So it's always good to find community and don't exist in isolation. So I'm hoping that this abiding love will be that community, like I said in the book. We're hoping that we're inviting you to join this community of strong marriages. We're not saying perfect marriages, strong marriages where we can build and encourage one another to have that God intended kind of marriage. So,
That's really our goal. And I thought that this book club would be the perfect opportunity for us to build those connections and also those principles of godly marriage. And I'm hoping that we get to meet one another. We will be mostly online here. And so we will have opportunities to do meetups if you're in the Houston area. Please stay tuned because at the end of the book club, we want to actually get together and
yeah.
give you an opportunity to meet different couples and hear sage advice and wisdom from all of them. You will actually get an opportunity to join us online, which is one of my favorite formats. Let me give you an example, right? look at my sleeping baby. I am able to do this podcast and tune into this book club, even with all of my other responsibilities as a wife, a mother, a friend, a sister, all the things, right? And so life goes on, but that doesn't stop us from growing and learning. So you
Mhm.
could join with your busy work schedule. It's going to be here on YouTube, so you can watch it at your leisure. You can share it with friends. You can join us. What we do ask is that you order the book so that you can read along with us. There is a hard copy if you're one of those types of people, or there's an ebook. We'll put the link in the bio and all over the internet so that you can get a copy of the book. The link will take you right where you can order it. And then you also get an opportunity to get a freebie. If you're curious about what the book and the book club is about, the freebie will give you a little bit of a teaser
Yeah.
about it. And so stay tuned for that. So here's the next steps. You can meet us every Saturday until we finish this book club. And so we'll be online on Saturdays, and we'll go through the chapter and we'll actually start a discussion going. But we actually want to hear from you all. We're
Mhm.
going to have the book club podcast, but then we'll also have an after show segment. And the
Yes.
after show segment is going to be us on Instagram and TikTok live. And we're going to be answering questions that you submit based on that topic for the week. So we're going to open up our social media and ask a question. So we will answer those questions in that after show segment. Lots of exciting things to talk about. So, in general, this is just going to be a really great opportunity to form community, get some wisdom about godly marriage, but then also to encourage one another. If you're someone who's desiring a godly marriage, I always like to say this: nobody has two heads, right? If my mom starts to tell you the story of how she said she was the last of her friends to get married, right? And then for me, my
Yes.
husband dropped out of the sky. I don't know where that man came from. And so if you are someone who is not yet married, but you are waiting on the Lord, part of the waiting on the Lord is also sitting under the counsel of godly women who can
Mhm.
tell you what is coming next. And so I'm looking at my mom as one of those women who can give advice, and some of our other guests as well. So,
Yes.
with that, we're so excited. We're so excited, and we're
I,
honored that you would partner with us. I'll turn it over to Auntie Mina. Any words that you want to say before we depart?
yes. I am so excited for this. And I want to thank Timmy for thinking about it. We want to impact young people. It hurts my heart to see young couples, just going through the it's like a sea out there of all kinds of things. But there's God has intended for us to enjoy
Yeah.
marriage. It's a gift. And so if that gift is not being experienced like God intended it to be, then that's a problem. And if I can help in any way, if this book can help in any way to make you enjoy your marriage, then we have achieved the purpose of it. So I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to it, to meeting every one of you. Thank you
Yeah.
for letting us come into your home.
Love it. Well, with that, we will see you all online at the first episode of the podcast for the book club. Stay tuned. Thanks, y'all. See you soon.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye bye.